So making an ebook with Publisher is really easy. When you first open Publisher, this is the screen that you see, and it's asking you to pick a template. So I'm just going to choose this one here, which is an A4 landscape template. So it's in A4 size. You can see the setup of the page. You've got a menu structure at the top, and you've got what's called a ribbon, which you'll probably be used to from things like Microsoft Word. We're going to use some of these features in a minute, but the reason I like Publisher is because it's really easy to move things around on screen. Word causes you a lot of problems if you try and use images and you move things from one page to the next, but in Publisher every single thing is treated as a separate item. Okay, so like we always do, the first thing we want to do before we actually start producing any work is to save. So I'm going to hit the save icon up here, and I'm going to jump off into Browse, and I'm going to put things in the same place as last time. I'm going to find my D drive. I'm going to go into my digital tech folder, and I've already got my Photoshop one there. Now I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to call this one eBook. I'm going to double click to go inside that folder, and I'm going to call my publication, same as last time. I'm going to use my surname, my first name, and then what it is. Now if you're wondering why I'm laying it out that way, is because later on when you hand your work into your teacher will see all of the files for all of your classmates in a big list alphabetically. So she'll see the surname of the person, then their first name, and then they'll see whether the work is an ebook or a Publisher file or a photograph or whatever it might be, so they can tell straight away what work's been submitted. So that's the way why we do it that way. I'm going to hit save. So that's saved my work now, and you can see at the top here it says Morgan Russ ebook.pub. So I know that I've saved that once. Okay, let's jump to page design. Now we want to make this have a nice color background rather than just white. So I'm going to go to this thing over here that says background, and there's various choices there to start with. There's also one that says more backgrounds at the bottom. So I'm going to click on more backgrounds. It opens up this box for me. Now I've got different choices of backgrounds. Like I did with Photoshop, I can have a solid color fill, or I can do gradients. I could even have a picture if I wanted to put a picture in the background, which you may decide you want to do, but I'm going to just go for solid fill at the moment. And I'm going to go to the colors, and I'm going to choose from more colors. I get like a color wheel, so I can choose anywhere on here. If I want to get a kind of pinkish one, I'm going to go for that, choose the pink one, and I'm going to hit, when I'm happy with it, OK. Hit OK again. Now I've got a pink background. Now that might be a little bit too dark for me, so I'm actually going to go back in and I'm going to change that one. I'm going to make this a lighter color pink because it is a little bit too bright. There we go. So this is what the new one will look like. So click OK, click OK. So I can go back and change things at any point in time. Okay, I've only got one page at the moment, so what I might want to do is I might want to duplicate this. Now I could come up to insert and say insert page, but if I insert a page, I just get a white one again. So I'd have to go through the whole process of changing the page color. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to right click on that one, and I'm going to say delete. I'm going to get rid of it. What I can do, as you can see from this little view on the left, I can right click on my page and I can ask for a duplicate page. So this time, every time I hit duplicate page, it gives me an extra one. Now if you think that you're going to make a book which is 5 pages long, what I would do is I would insert about 7 pages. So go for a few extra ones, and then later on you can always delete ones you don't want. It's possible to move pages around as well, so at the moment there's nothing on them, but if I decided to put something on one, so I'm going to go to page 1, in fact I'm going to go to page 2, and I'm going to insert some text. So I'm going to go for my word art text in this occasion, choose any old one, and I'm going to call this one Peter Penguin's Facebook Adventure, and I'm going to drag that at the top there somewhere. This is going to be my first page. Now when I'm selected, you can see if I click on something or I click off it, it selects or deselects. When I've selected it, it's really easy to move it anywhere on the page. I can grab corners of it, and if I hold down shift it keeps it in proportion, or I could stretch things out and do all sorts of weird things. Control and Z will always undo the last move. So I'm going to go back to where I was. I might decide afterwards that I don't like that particular font, so I can come to where it says format and I can change it to a different one. I can click through the ones that are on offer. I can even open up this bigger thing. I've even got the options for doing weird and wacky things like curving it. So I'll leave it like that for the moment. I'm going to save again. You can never save too often. I would say every couple of minutes click the save button just in case anything goes wrong. But you can see it's on the wrong page. That should have been page 1. Now I could delete page 1, but what's even easier is just to grab page 2 and drag it up on top so it becomes page 1. So now it's the top one. Okay, so I can easily put that sort of text in. If I want to put normal text in, I can just go up here and I can say insert and draw a text box. And I can put a text box anywhere, and I can type into that box. And when I've got my text in the box, I can do things with it like change the size of it, change the font color or font size, and so on. And the same as before, you'll see when I click off it, I don't see anything. I click on it, I get a box. I can grab that box and move it anywhere. So you might want to be able to do that, to use that for things later on. Okay, but let's get on to the fun stuff. We want to be able to get our images in. So we want to be able to have some nice characters, and then we want to be able to get them talking and doing things. So the first place to start is to jump onto Google. Okay, so I'm in Google. I'm going to switch to Google Images because I know I want to get some pictures. And this is a bit of a trick for you. Where you can search for things that are more interesting or more specific is by searching by a file type. So I'm going to type in, I want a penguin cartoon, but I'm going to ask for a file type. I'm going to type that in, file type. That's a special word, followed by a colon. And then I'm going to say PNG. Okay, now and I'll hit OK, and I'll explain what PNG is in a moment. So here's some characters. All of these are basically going to be PNG files, and a PNG file is one that's allowed to have a transparent background. That doesn't mean that these have got transparent backgrounds. They might have white backgrounds, and the only really way to find out is to click on them, and in the preview you can see what kind of background comes up. So this one has got a transparent background. If I click on the next one, that one has. This one doesn't. So if I decided to use this one, if I downloaded this one, I would then have to go into Photoshop like I did before in the previous project to remove that background to make it transparent. So it's easier to start off with one which actually is already transparent. So I'm going to go for this one, but you will notice that it's a really massive file. 5,000 pixels wide. That means it's about almost 5 times the width of your screen. It's really huge, but I'm going to save it because I like it. So I'm going to hit View Image. There's my image. I'm going to right click, same as we did before, save my image, and this time I'm going to go into that folder I created, the eBook folder. You can't see the publisher file in there at the moment because we're not using publisher, we're using a photo file, so it's a wrong file type, but it is in there. We hit save, and I've got my cute penguin. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my Photoshop like I did last time, and I'm going to come into here and I'm going to find that cute penguin, and I'm going to do something just to show you. So this penguin is only on 8%, which means for real, if I double click on my magnifying glass, it is a massive image. Okay, this is the penguin. It's huge. There's his nose. So I'm going to go image size, and I'm going to turn this to a much more useful size. So I'm going to go for about 400 instead of 5,000. So your screen is about 1,000, about 1,200, so 1,200 pixels wide. So 400 is a fairly decent size. So that's my size. I'm now going to save it again by doing File Save As. This time I'm going to actually call it, and move it up so you can see it. I'm going to call this one Penguin Cute, and I'm going to put the word small after it. So I know it's a different version. It's still a PNG, and it has to be a PNG because we want a transparent background. So I'm going to say save. I'm going to say OK, and that will have saved it for me. So I'm going to close down my Photoshop file now. I'm not going to bother closing Photoshop altogether because basically I might need to use it again. But I'm going to get rid of these. I'm going to come back to where I was in Publisher. So now I can go Insert, I can choose Pictures, back into my D drive, and in my D drive I've got my ebook, and there's my Penguin Cute and Penguin Small. Now I'm going to first of all look at the sizes here, and you can see the original picture, the one that was really big, is 305 kilobytes. So it's about 1/3 of a megabyte. It's not massive, but you're going to use this picture many times in your book. So every time you bring it in, it's going to add this size onto the size of your ebook. Whereas the small version is way smaller. Okay, if we use this one, it's not going to make our ebook very big. So I'm going to open this one, and there's my penguin. Now I can still move my penguin around. I can still grab my penguin and I can make my penguin bigger. Okay, it still looks nice. I can put it wherever I want. If I save my work and I now go back in and have a look inside my ebook folder, I can see the size of my ebook is now 116 kilobytes. It's still pretty small, and that's great because later on we're going to turn this into a PDF file, and PDF files, you can open them on iPhones, iPads, you can email them. They're really good files to use. So the smaller this one is, the better it will be in the end. So try to avoid using really big images if you don't need to, and go for the smaller versions. Okay, let's flick ourselves back to Publisher. I'm going to use something called Alt-Tab to do that. If I hold down Alt and press Tab, I can flick through my applications. Here I am. So what my penguin might want to do is he might want to have a speech bubble. He might want to say something. So I can go again to the Insert menu, choose Shapes, and down towards the bottom of Shapes, there's all these ones you can use. If you want to put arrows in, if you want to put rectangles, circles, anything you want to add in, you can add in. But there's also one called Callouts. And there's various ones here which are like thinking bubbles and speaking bubbles and so on. So I'm going to go for a speaking bubble to start with. And I'm just going to drag from roughly where he is outwards. Now it doesn't matter what colour any of this is at the moment. We can change all of that in a minute. But basically I can type something into there. Okay, it's a bit small to read. So what I can do is I can highlight that text. And over here I can center my text, and I can start to increase the size of it. Okay, so I can see it doesn't like this word hobbies. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it better. There's a zoom feature at the bottom of Publisher. Okay, I've misspelt hobbies, so I can right click on there and then choose from the spell checker and correct the word. I might even want to make that as a capital H. Okay, so I've got that. I'm zoomed in. I also get, you notice when I click on a particular thing, so there I'm on here, it focuses it for me. At the same time it focuses, it puts this control box around it, and we've already seen that we can drag these corners and we can move the box around, but we also get these features up here which say format. So for instance, if I click on this format, I get the option of filling, you can see that as I hover over it, different colors for my speech bubble. I can change the outline. If I wanted the outline to be a different color to make it stand out, I can do that. I can highlight the text itself, and I can go back into my format here for the text box. I can change the size, I can change the font type. If I wanted a different type of font in there altogether, I can change my font to something that might be easier to read or more interesting, and I can change the color of it and so on. So I've got a lot of features I can use really, really quickly. I'm going to zoom back out again here so I can see the percentage. That 100% will be the size that it looks for real, but if I want to see the whole thing in one go, I can probably go for about that kind of size. Now I might want to reuse my penguin, so I don't need to go through the whole insert thing again. I can come up here, I can right click and I do copy. I can go into another page and I can do paste. There's my penguin again. I can move him somewhere else on the page. If I want to make him for the picture, I can make him bigger, or I can make him smaller and still move him around. It doesn't affect what's going on this first page. Okay, I'm going to save again. Now basically that's the basic features you need to use. There's lots of other things you can do with Publisher, and you'll get, as you start to play with it, begin to realize how useful it is as an actual piece of software, because the way that it does work with allowing you to move separate objects about is really nice. What we're going to do at the end, now this one's not really finished, but we're going to pretend it's finished. When we get to the end, we're going to go File, we're going to save it to make sure it's all saved, but we're also then going to do File Save As, and we're going to change it to a different type of file. Now I'm already in the ebook folder, so that's fine. I'll stay with that folder, but instead of a publisher file, I'm going to choose from this drop down list and go for the one called PDF. Now PDF stands for Portable Document Format, which is exactly what it is. It means you can move it around to different places. I'm going to hit save, and that's going to create for me a PDF. Now off my screen it's just opened it for me. Okay, so this is now my ebook opened, you can see, as an Adobe Acrobat profile, and with this one I can click through and I can see my pages now. My page 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hasn't got anything on it, but yours will have, and this is how you're going to create your ebook. So when we put them up on the screen, we can show them to the younger students. They're easy to email, and if we go back and we check the size, this little file here, that whole PDF is only 175 kilobytes. It means I could have 5 of those and it would only just come to about 1 megabyte, so it's no problem to send on an email somewhere. Okay, good luck with your project.